Hello and welcome to this lesson. Today, you're going to add the top 10 phrasal verbs to your vocabulary. So first, I'm going to explain what the phrasal verb means, give you some example sentences of that phrasal verb, and then at the end of this video, you're going to test your knowledge. You're going to complete a quiz. So make sure you stay right to the end to complete that quiz. Of course, I'm Jennifer from JakeForrestEnglish.com, and this channel is dedicated to helping you feel confident speaking English in public so you can take your career and your life to the next level. Now, before we go any further, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. Now, let's dive in with this lesson. Are you ready to add the top 10 phrasal verbs to your vocabulary? Well, let's get started with number 1. To phase something in. When you phase something in, it means that you introduce something new, but you introduce it gradually, which means little by little. And generally, what we're introducing is a new law, a new rule, a new regulation, or a new policy. So let's say that your company has a new policy and they're introducing a dress code. A dress code will tell you what you can and cannot wear to work. Now, let's say they announce the new dress code, but they say we're phasing in the new dress code over the next 2 months. Now, why would they want to introduce it little by little? Well, maybe it's because they want to give you time to prepare. You might have to go out and buy new clothing, for example. So you might have to save money to do that and get comfortable doing that as well. So maybe the first week they introduce the new shirts that they want you to wear. And then the next week it's the new shoes. And the following week it's the new pants. And little by little they phase in the new dress code. Number 2, to block off. Now, the thing about phrasal verbs is they're always used in a very specific context. So in this context of block off, we're talking specifically about time in your calendar or on your schedule. So you're blocking off time. So what does that mean? It means that you reserve that time for a specific task or activity. And you reserve that time so no one else can schedule a meeting with you or no one else can assign you a task during those specific blocks of time because you block them off. So let's say you're preparing for the IELTS and you might block off Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 to 9. In your calendar, and that is the time you're going to spend studying for IELTS. Or if you have an important deadline at work, you might block off the entire day. So you might block off Monday and just focus on that task so you can meet the deadline. So this is probably something you do every single day anyway for time management purposes, and now you know how to explain that naturally in English. Number 3, to clear out. And again, remember, phrasal verbs are used in a very specific context. And in this context, we're talking about clearing out of a location, like a restaurant or even a conference, an office, a mall, any location that has a lot of people in it generally. And when people clear out of a location, it means they simply leave the location, but that location then becomes empty. So the majority or all of the people leave a location. That's when you clear out of a location. So let's say you go to lunch at a restaurant around 1:30 and it's really busy. You get the last available table. And you're eating your lunch, you're talking to your coworker, and then around 2:30, you look around and you notice that you're the only table left in the restaurant. And remember, the restaurant was full when you got there. So you could turn to your coworker and say, wow, it really cleared out, which means everybody left the restaurant. Number 4, to do without something. This is a really useful one because it's a fact of life. You're going to have to do without certain things at certain times in your life. So when you do without something, it means you manage despite the lack of. And it's the lack of the something that you do without. So let me give you an example. Maybe finances are a little tight, you didn't get that bonus you were hoping for, so you might say, we'll have to do without a cleaner for the next few months. Do without a cleaner. So a cleaner is someone who cleans your house, a house cleaner. Now, previously, a lot of people called this a maid. I know many people in certain countries still call it a maid. In North America, it's considered outdated and even a little politically incorrect to call someone a maid. We now call them house cleaners. So just so you know, it's more politically correct to use house cleaner. So you have to manage your day-to-day, manage your house despite the lack of a house cleaner. We have to do without a house cleaner because I didn't get the bonus. So you can use this in a personal context like I just gave you, or you can use this in a work context as well. Maybe your assistant quit and you're having trouble finding a new assistant. So you might say, well, I guess I'll have to do without an assistant for the next month, which means you have to manage all your work without an assistant. Do without something. It's a very useful phrasal verb because we all have to do without certain things at certain points in our life. Our next phrasal verb, to force out. This is a very useful business phrasal verb. You're going to hear it in the media, newspapers, all the time. When someone is forced out, it means that they are asked to leave their position, but it wasn't their decision to do so. Notice the sentence structure I used. I put this in the passive, to be forced out. For example, the CEO was forced out after the scandal. So there's a scandal. Obviously, it didn't look good for the CEO. So the company wanted him to leave. The CEO himself did not want to leave, but the company wanted him to leave. So the CEO was forced out. Now, if you use it in the active sentence, you'd be talking about who forced out the CEO. So you might say the board of directors forced the CEO out after the scandal. So you can absolutely use this in the active, but it's very commonly used in the passive. Our next phrasal verb, number 6, to sink in. When something sinks in, it becomes clear in your mind. And the something that's sinking in is information, news, an event. For example, it took him a while before his mother's death sunk in. So his mother died, but that fact, that event didn't sink in for some time. It didn't become clear. So he didn't process it, he didn't fully understand it, he didn't fully accept it as a fact, as a reality for some time. So the event, his mother's death, didn't sink in. So we do use this a lot for tragic events, but we can also use this with difficult or complicated information. For example, let's say your coworker is explaining a new accounting software, and it's pretty technical. So your coworker is explaining it quite quickly. And you might say, give me a minute to let that sink in. So that is the information your coworker was just explaining. And for that, the information to sink in, it means for you to fully understand it, to fully process it. So we can use it for tragic events, but we can also use this for complicated information. Number 7, to bail out. This is another must-know business phrasal verb, but you can also use it in your personal life as well. When you bail someone out, it means that you rescue them, and you rescue them from a financially difficult situation. So remember that CEO that was forced out in our previous example? Well, maybe he had a sister that bailed him out. His sister bailed him out, which means his sister helped him financially. So maybe she gave him a place to stay because he couldn't afford his rent. She gave him food because he couldn't afford groceries. And she gave him money because he didn't have any. His sister bailed him out. So we can use it in a personal context, but this is commonly used in a business context in the sense of the government bailing out companies because they're about to go bankrupt. And why would the government do that? Well, because that company is important for the economy. For example, in the US, the company Chrysler, which is an automobile company, they've been bailed out by the government multiple times. Chrysler as a company has almost gone bankrupt multiple times, and the government has come in and bailed the company out. They bailed Chrysler out. Number 8, to leave something behind. This is a very useful one in your everyday vocabulary. When you leave something behind, it simply means that you forget something at a specific location. So we do this all the time, right? We go to a restaurant, a cafe, we put our phone on the counter, we get our coffee, and we go. And oh no, I left my phone behind. I think I left my phone behind at the cafe. So it's just the same as saying, I think I forgot my phone at the cafe. You can use this with any object. You can leave behind your keys, your sweater, your jacket, your computer, whatever you want. So this is a very useful one. So what about you? Have you ever left something important behind? Maybe you left your cell phone behind or your laptop behind or important family photos behind. Have you ever left something behind? Let us know in the comments. Number 9, to miss out on something. To miss out on something. And this is when you miss an important opportunity or an experience that shouldn't have been missed. So let's say that you work for Tesla and Elon Musk was making an appearance at your office that day and you were going to get to meet Elon Musk. But your bus was late and you didn't get to work on time and you didn't get to meet Elon Musk. You, my friend, just missed out on an opportunity of a lifetime. You missed out on meeting Elon Musk. So you could say, I can't believe I missed out. You can just end it there. I can't believe I missed out. If you want to continue, you can say, I can't believe I missed out on meeting Elon Musk. And finally, number 10, to show up. To show up has a very simple definition. It means to appear or arrive. Native speakers don't really use appear or arrive. We use show up. For example, what time did you show up to the party? I would never say, what time did you arrive to the party? I wouldn't say that. That sounds unnatural, outdated, too formal. I would say, what time did you show up? What time did you show up to the party? What time did you show up last night? Now, let's say you got to work late one day and your boss is standing at your desk as you're walking to your desk and you're 45 minutes late, and your boss might look at you and say, oh, how nice of you to finally show up. That's obviously sarcastic, but this happens a lot if you get to a party really late, or even if you're just having dinner at home with your husband or your wife. But dinner is normally at 7 and you don't get home till 7:30 and your husband or your wife has been waiting and waiting and waiting. When you get home, they might say, oh, how nice of you to finally show up. So we use this a lot in a sarcastic way when someone is late, but we also use it just to talk about getting somewhere. Oh, I showed up at, and then you say the time. So now you have the top 10 phrasal verbs added to your vocabulary. It's time to test your knowledge. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a quiz that will have 10 questions, and you have to decide which phrasal verb best completes the sentence. Now, I'll only show the quiz for about 10 seconds. Obviously, that isn't long enough, so just hit pause, complete the quiz, and then I'll show you the answers. Again, I'll show you the answers for about 10 seconds. So again, hit pause, compare your answers, and then let us know, how did you do? Let us know in the comments after you complete the quiz. So let's start your quiz now. So, how did you do with that quiz? Put your mark in the comments, and the ones you got wrong, take some time and write out some practice sentences with those new phrasal verbs so you really get that practice and repetition and add them to your permanent memory. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe. And before you go, make sure you head on over to my website, jforcedenglish.com, and download your free speaking guide. In this guide, I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. And until next time, happy studying!